Good evening, I'm Mel Packer. I live in the city of Pittsburgh in the East End. Sometime around 1906 to 1908, back in the dark ages when steel mills were sources of dangerous pollution and coal miners got black lung. Gee, that sounds terribly familiar, doesn't it, even though it was 110 years ago? Around that time, a corporation named U.S. Steel used thousands of prison laborers in its iron and steel mills and its coal mines in Birmingham, Alabama. U.S. Steel, pretending then as it does today, that it was opposed to blatantly unjust social practices, was aghast when it discovered that its newly purchased subsidiary, Tennessee Coal and Iron, was paying county sheriffs in Alabama the grand total of $12 a day to literally purchase the labor of young men, mostly black, who were unjustly convicted of crimes such as vagrancy in order to sell those men to U.S. Steel. But U.S. Steel was not about to let a little thing like prison slave labor get in the way of profit. Instead, they sent hundreds of men to their deaths in its mines, its mills, and buried their broken bodies in mass graves scattered among the refuse of the mines. Today, U.S. Steel doesn't need Alabama sheriffs to give it the right to harm both the workers of its steel mills and the community surrounding them, for it has the Allegheny County Health Department to give it legal cover instead. With an agreement that reads as though it was written by a U.S. Steel attorney, similar to the way we now know that the Federal Aviation Authority allowed Boeing to police itself in the 737 MAX Delhi scandal. This agreement, and in fact the entire Clinton debacle, has caused great division within our community. We have adults and children who are suffering from increased respiratory disease, including me with an early diagnosis of COPD. We are still living in some of the worst air in the nation, and we have unionized steelworkers justly afraid of losing their fairly well-compensated jobs that at the same time also harms their lungs and breaks their bodies. And who's right? Both sides are right. We need to realize that, and we need to find common ground. Steelworkers, all of them here, have a right to a livelihood, and U.S. Steel, as their main exploiter, has a responsibility to guarantee those jobs or income in return for the profit it has extracted from their bodies for generations. Community members are just as right in our complaints as this is 2019, an allegedly enlightened era in which we recognize that human beings have a right to live free of harm to our bodies just so a corporation can make profit. This agreement is frankly a victory for U.S. Steel. It appears to enable U.S. Steel to play a role in how 90% of its fines will be spent. It provides little to no community oversight nor transparency. It locks the ACHD into an agreement that will enable U.S. Steel to challenge many, if not most, of future demands they may make. It's not an agreement. An agreement implies mutual consent on behalf of all parties, not just capitulation by the ACHD. Where is the community in this agreement? Where's the school boards? Where's the medical providers, the daycare centers, the wheezing asthmatics, the COPDers who spend their lives tethered to an oxygen tank? Where are the children who can't go outside and play? Where are the senior citizens who can't go to church because the air is so bad they can't breathe outside? In truth, it's not an agreement. It's an ultimatum being imposed on both workers and community members in order to aid the profit-making goals of U.S. Steel by the health department that's in the pocket of polluters and not on the side of the people and the residents of Allegheny County. I say no more, no more, no more. The huddled masses of our community have a right to breathe free.